you.
Said it already. Steve Carfino talked that this would be fairly rough, this game. What do you think?
Well, Newcastle and Sydney is always a very physical game. There's a lot of pride at stake. Every team wants to be, all three teams want to be the #1 team in New South Wales. And this one wants to be a very big one because Newcastle has a chance to win the championship. The Sydney Kings trying to salvage a little bit of pride.
Well, we'll see your game plan shortly. Let's have a look at the lineups.
And starting for the Kings, they're going to start the same way in the backcourt with Greg Hubbard and Damian Keogh in the backcourt. And the forwards are Bruce Bolden, Leon Trimmingham, and starting at center tonight, Big Dean Utah.
For Newcastle, one of the best guard combinations in the league, Tony Jensen and Butch Hayes. Michael Johnson having a wonderful year. Grant Kruger, tough as ever, and Reggie Smith, arguably the premier center in the league.
And coming off the bench for the Sydney Kings, a couple of young fellas, Matty Nielsen and the very quick, explosive Brad Rosen. Mark Dalton's going to come off the bench tonight with Justin Withers and the very versatile Brad Williams.
Sean Dennis has been playing some good minutes for Newcastle lately. So has Craig Adams. Marty McLean always dangerous off the bench. Likewise, Matty Alexander and young Bowden also hopefully will get some time. Here we go. Damian Keogh, perhaps his last game. He's hinting at a return next season. Dean Utah says it is his last game. But who knows what will happen in the Sydney Kings office in the postseason. Steve Carfino, there is the plan for this game.
Well, you had to look at Damian Keogh, and it's important for him to get going from the outside. They really want to stretch out the D of the Newcastle Falcons because Reggie Smith is a very good shot blocker. So they want to get the D spread out for Newcastle. They want those guys to have big games because when they've got it going inside, then they're shooting a very high percentage. Look to Butch Hayes to look for those guys.
Dangerous game for Newcastle. They have a lot still ahead of them in 1995. At the very least, 2 games to go. This is it for Sydney. They have the talent. They have put in some good three-quarter efforts over the last few home games, but they haven't been able to finish off. There's a win from the tip-off for Trimmingham, and now Hubbard. The guards, in fact, could be the key, Steve. Keogh and Hubbard versus Hayes and Jensen. Bolden wide open just inside the perimeter, but Trimmingham gets the rebound, fouled by Butch Hayes on the way up.
Making sure Leon Trimmingham didn't ignite this crowd so early in the game. Sydney can get really pumped up when the crowd's behind him, especially behind a Leon Trimmingham dunk. Get another look at it on the rebound. Leon Trimmingham so tough, gets up so quick with those long arms. Butch didn't want that one to turn into an offensive rebound and a jam.
Of course, Leon Trimmingham, magnificent again in 95 with 27.7 a game at 54%. He may not be here either. He's had offers from Europe. He's had offers from 2 NBL clubs. One fairly south of the New South Wales border, one a lot closer to New South Wales. But he also, of course, will go to 4 NBA camps very shortly with the lockout doomed, it seems. Tony Jensen for 3 early on. He can't hit, but Michael Johnson gets the rebound and stolen from Freddie Kruger. Hubbard blocked in the end, and Sydney will get the ball back. But good hustle from Newcastle to get back on that transition.
Also good hustle from the Sydney Kings. From the tip-off, it just seems as if the Sydney Kings are dictating the tempo. Damian Keogh picking Butch Hayes up extremely tough, making him do it very hard. Greg Hubbard with the 3.
Utah heavily up there for the rebound, and it'll be interesting to see, Steve, if... Well, here's Trimmingham making the most of that turnover. But it'll be interesting to see as Sydney takes a 4-0 lead, how many minutes Dean Utah will get from Bob Turner in perhaps or probably his final game.
And there you see the result of the Kings going after another loose ball, and they get another one.
Utah putting some body on Reggie Smith at the other end of the court. Foul goes against the big fella. I wonder if he's going to rack up a few fouls. It's his last hurrah.
Well, this is a game that he can get some minutes because Reggie Smith is a force in there, very big.
The personal foul to number 11.
And Grant Kruger is known to be very physical, especially against the Sydney Kings. Likes matching up and bouncing around with them. He likes seeing Big Dean Utah in there. Don't waste any time in getting Matty Alexander to replace Grant Kruger. And they're like bookends. I really don't think there's much of a difference between them and their aggression and their size.
Well, Tom Wisman's achieved a very nice mix in this team this year. He's bought well, and he's managed to come up with a very balanced lineup. Now Trimmingham posting up. There's a bit of pushing going on there, according to John Payne. A foul going against the new player, Matty Alexander, in his first contact with the ball. Sydney will get the inbound. They're the leading rebound team in the league with 43.1 a match. Newcastle, they were only 4th, so not a lot of difference there in performance this year. What could be the key, though, is the way they're attacking their games. We'll talk about that in a moment as Hubbard shoots short and Reggie Smith gets rebounds. He is the league's leading individual rebounder. Reggie Smith has not been in single figures all season. He catches the ball in there to put the Falcons on the board. Sydney very quickly back on their offense. Keogh, nice play. 6-2 the Kings. Mike Johnson, very quick again for the Falcons. Smith is stripped. Utah cleans up for Keogh mid-court. Puts the step on and walks. Well, the Kings have looked very good for 2 to 3 quarters. In fact, they had a 70-point first half last week against North Melbourne, their best of the year, but they haven't finished off the games. Newcastle, by contrast, have put in big second halves. They're the best second half performance team in the league. They've won 7 of the 9 games that they've led at half-time, and they've won 8 of 14 when they've been behind. Reggie Smith with that tough fader jump shot. 6-4 now. Sydney still leads, but Newcastle finding some rhythm. Smith with their only point, Steve.
And that's another reason why the Sydney Kings have got to try and get up, because Newcastle plays so well in the second half. They want to get themselves a pretty good lead and get some momentum. And that's not a bad result for the Sydney Kings. Not only momentum, Billy, but they want to be able to play confidently and go in there and not have to come from behind. It's been a long season for them.
What a tremendous struggle it is for the top 8 positions. The 8 itself was decided a couple of weeks ago, but Newcastle right in the thick of that. This is a critical game for them, but that's not going to help. Hubbard, oh, great D from Tony Jensen, but Keogh wisely was trailing Greg Hubbard on that break. Now, Butch Hayes had a bit to say to Tony as he brings the ball back up. So a little frustration here for the Falcons, but a long way to go. They trail by 6 off the Matty Alexander screen. Foul called against Keogh, but here's that last transition play, and Tony Jensen.
He actually got a piece of that. I think Butch Hayes might have been apologizing to Tony.
Well, let's rejoin play now. 5 minutes 30 left in the quarter. The Kings leading the Falcons 16-10. But Sydney managed to recover. Reggie Smith now posting up on Utah. The former Portland Trailblazer hits the deck but scores 2.
Well, that's the 3rd time he's opted to go for that left-hand jump hook, and he looks extremely comfortable with it. The first 2 are just off the mark, just rimmed out, and he's not having any trouble getting that one off.
Steve, how important is Reggie Smith to Newcastle's title chances?
He is just a legitimate threat down there. Greg Hubbard bombs away a 3. But the Newcastle Falcons look to go to him every single time because he's so tough down there. You have to double team him. Then the other guys look for their options, like Tony Jensen.
I know at the start of the season or earlier than that, in fact, when it was heard that Tom Wisman was going to bring Reggie Smith to Australia, everyone was saying, wow, what a great piece of recruiting. And he's lived up to the reputation. Whether they can keep him or not, that's always the tough question, isn't it, when you bring out such a good player. Nice pass, Utah on Smith. Can't get the rebound. Trimmingham, but he does in the end, and Utah's got it back. Three-point attempt from Hubbard. Alexander. Grant Kruger getting ready to come back on the court. Mike Johnson lobs it in. Now Smith once again camping in that low post, but this time Jensen on the cut. 19-16, Newcastle.
Oh, he's so tough. He's a slasher too because of his height. He's a good 6'4", Tony Jensen, and he can get his shot off around the basket when he cuts to the hole.
What a wonderful year it's been for him. He had all the signs last year. Nice leaner there from Leon Trimmingham. Matty Alexander wanted a foul for that. But Sydney holds this lead. They're up by 5. Now Martin McLean also coming into the game with Grant Kruger, Mike Johnson and Alexander taking a rest. There was Fred Kruger right there. Well, we call him Fred, but of course that's only his nickname. There he is, passing it off to Jensen for 3. Yes! So Newcastle once again tightens up this game. They're within 2 points of Sydney with just over 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Williams on court for the Kings, almost hit with his first shot. Trimmingham almost breaks his neck and is all over the top of Butch Hayes. Now Bolden and Kruger at each other's throats here. I confess I was watching Trimmingham and Butch Hayes and missed what sparked that. Perhaps we can shed some light on it by having another look. But it's a little bit of provocation. Perhaps this game will live up to its expectations. Here we go.
We'll have a quick look right here. They just got their arms buckled up and not really a whole lot.
No. Don't get us wrong, we're not disappointed, but Martin McLean bouncing inside. Kruger fires it out to Butch Hayes, who does well to catch it. Reggie Smith posting up over the top of Trimmingham and Utah. And he is tough.
And Butch Hayes delivered that basketball right to him. He had his man on his back, Dean Utah, and Butch delivers him the basketball. That's why he's so popular to play with.
All square this game. Utah trying to give Sydney the lead back, but he can't. Now Butch Hayes. Jensen was almost spotting up, but Martin McLean will, and doesn't get a favourable bounce, but Reggie Smith does. Another rebound for him. He's looking for support, putting some moves on Utah, and Trimmingham steals it from nowhere. Keogh for 3, hits it. 24-21. Sydney gets back that lead, but look at this on transition. Martin McLean, what a play. Foul on a spectacular layup at the other end of the court.
Is good. The personal foul to number 7, Dean Utah, his 3rd.
3 fouls against Utah.
The referee has thrown Dean Utah out of the game.
Well, Roger Shields has done something incredible here. He has ejected Dean Utah. In his last NBL game, he's on his 3rd foul, and Roger Shields has thrown him out. Now even Grant Kruger went up. Bob Turner's on the court, remonstrating. Cliff Martin and Murray Wardle, the assistant coaches, are on their feet as well, and they are asking for an explanation.
The referee wants him out of the stadium.
Now he's also saying Dean Utah has got to leave the court, which he has to do. That is incredible. Tony Jensen, meanwhile, the designated free throw shooter, missed his last attempt. So after all that, 25-24, Newcastle has the lead and, of course, possession.
It doesn't look like...
Oh!
Yeah, there you go.
Charge on Damian Keogh, and Kruger jumps to his feet. Freddie did a good flop there, but it was a heavy contact. Let's have another look if we can. He's having a bit to say too. This game may live up to expectations after all. There he is, Cougar. Oh, yeah.
There was no effort to go around him. It was actually the second time that happened.
Yes.
There's probably no more contact than the first time, but Grant didn't get a call when he didn't fall down the first time. Well, not saying it wasn't a foul, but...
Keogh put the body on Tony Jensen earlier in the game. He just had a word to say to Freddie Kruger as he shapes up for this free throw. And, I think we're going to see some fireworks here. Stay with us.
We'll get another one. Bruce Bolden was in too quick.
Oh, boy.
Violation. One more shot to come.
Keogh's having a bit to say here. See what he says now. See if he can read some lips. Maybe, no, he's decided he's said enough. But I think he said something earlier about that was a pretty good dive you took. Well, it was that, but as Steve pointed out, there's pretty heavy contact in there as well. Keogh now lobs it over to Dalton, who's going to replace Utah, obviously. Trimmingham, buzzer beating, no! The referees say no. The buzzer beat Trimmingham, but in the end, and what a quarter it's been, Sydney leads by 30-28.
Hasn't really had too much of an indication. The big turning point is the 16 turnovers for the Newcastle Falcons, and the Sydney Kings have capitalized on those.
They are out rebounding Sydney, however. Leon Trimmingham needed in that department. In fact, he has 11 of the Kings' 19 by himself, along with that 17 points. Bolden and Keogh contributing well. Mark Dalton will get more minutes, obviously, with Dean Uthoff ejected, if you hadn't heard the earlier news. Smith and Hayes, who've done so well for their team all year, are leading scorers for the Falcons. Good contribution from Marty McLean. They've loosened him up for a couple of three-point attempts, Steve, and he's managed to hit the money twice, but they were big plays.
Newcastle is extremely tough at hitting the open person, and so they've been able to do that in the first half.
Some of these Sydney Flames, who I'm sure were pretty convinced they'd be in the grand final. Thanks, Trish.
That was Annie Burgess. I'm sorry, Annie LaFleur, who just had a baby boy.
That's right. Congratulations to Andre and Annie. Wait till you get 3. You'll know what it's really like. Leon Trimmingham posting up, and Tony Jensen gets the rebound, and Trimmingham is here to play. Hustling the Falcons, but they will get the ball back. The Kings won the second quarter, 25-18. Trimmingham had 9 points. McLean and Hayes led the scorers in that quarter. Here's Johnson setting for 3, and it's strong. Mike Johnson. He's still keeping on after 360 games. When Johnson scores 20 or more, the Falcons are 9-2. Mike Johnson with 5 points so far. Bolden to Hubbard, who was looking for that 3, and Butch Hayes just couldn't stop himself. He wasn't happy with that.
Well, he knew Greg Hubbard is such a threat to shoot that 3 when he gets his feet set. He doesn't need much time or space after that. And Bruce was closing out.
Hubbard for 3. He makes the shot too.
That's what Butch was afraid of.
Interestingly, Steve, the Kings led by 9 at the half, but they had 11 points from the foul line to the Falcons' 1. Jensen did not get the 3 on that occasion. Now Dalton's on his back. Butch, Reggie Smith calling for some sort of break from the refs, but the foul's gone against Reggie, and he has 4 now. So this game just not working out for the Falcons. They'll have to dig deep. They're down by 9, but that 4 foul count's a bit of a problem.
The Falcons in that 2-3 zone.
Bolden. Oh, he almost hit that flat shot, but it probably had a little bit too much pace on it. Hayes. Now Jensen. Johnson again sets for that 3. Oh, sweet. Michael Johnson goes to 8 points for the game. He's heading for that 20. And when they run that play for him, Steve, he just delivers. Sydney's lead is only 6. So they're double-teaming Trimmingham, and Hubbard does control the ball eventually. Pump fake from Keogh, and inside, Bolden.
And Newcastle has been in good form.
Hayes, oh, big play, Butch Hayes. Give me the ball, he says, and he's on 15 for the game. Leads all scorers in the Falcons roster.
Oh, he spoke of his shot selection from behind the 3-point line. He's had a couple of open ones, didn't feel it was the right time, and that's why he shoots a high percentage. 1 for 1 tonight.
Well, that was blocked, but sort of. Keogh really, in the end, didn't know whether to shoot it or pass it, so Tony Jensen lays it in. And now they close to within 5 points. This has been a good little run from Newcastle. Keogh calling his players this way and that. Dalton drives inside, tries to open up Keogh, but they got out quickly. Bolden, though, hits the shot. So Dalton, with that penetration, proved very useful. Hayes runs it up. The Falcons, in fact, are 5-1 when Tony Jensen scores more than 25 points. There he is with the ball. Johnson for that 3. He's hit another one. 3 trays from exactly the same spot. Mike Johnson. And Sydney can do nothing about it. He's up to 11, the veteran.
Well, that's a well-executed play because they screen down the man in the area of the zone. Here they come on the break. Nice pass.
Oh, yes, Tony Jensen on transition. Newcastle closes to within 2 points of the Kings. Timeout, a timely one for Sydney with just under 6 minutes.
You think Justin's got something to say to him about that? Actually, he hasn't said anything. He just smiled at him.
Now he said something. Oh, I wonder what he'll say now. He's racing up court. I'm sure he's going to say something. You just got to wonder what's going to happen in this game if it is a blowout in the end. Just how much basketball is going to be played. Now, still tied up this game. Butch Hayes driving, jumping, missing the shot against the double team. Rosen is unleashed by Withers, who controls it pretty well, Rosen, and gets the lay. Well, he's hit the post very heavily, Brad Rosen, and Grant Kruger very quick to try and help him up. Let's have a look.
Well, let's have a look at it. Of course, we have to slow it down or we wouldn't be able to see him very well. A little bump after the shot. And when you go that fast, the end of the building comes up very quickly. Brad, even though he's going that fast, put it up nice and slow.
And even though the pad was there, of course, he hit the ball pretty hard. Absolutely no problems there with Grant Kruger's challenge. It was perfectly legal. Now,
the personal, number 20.
The determination of the Kings has been just incredible tonight. Their commitment on the defensive end of the floor, going for loose balls. Damian Keough gets it there, and that was a good call because he was going to get that layup. And I was corrected before the game by Roger Shields, and that is an unsportsmanlike foul, not a flagrant foul or an intentional one. So thank you very much, Roger Shields. You learn something new every day.
that was a name change initiated, I think, at the start of this season to give it a bit more of a wider coverage as a call. Just over 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Sydney leads by 4, but certainly not as in control. Oh, alley-oop play there for Bruce Bolden. Didn't come off. Plenty of Newcastle bodies in the way. Sydney's lead not as powerful as it was early in the... Oh, Butch Hayes! Oh boy! Well, that's got to make plays of the week.
Off balance. Let's have another look at this nice spin there. He loses his balance somehow. He probably wouldn't have been able to make that shot if Justin Withers didn't knock him back upright. It's a heck of a shot.
Butch has made some big plays in his time. That's up there.
He used to make plays like that when he was in high school, when we used to play against each other, and when he went to St. Bernard's High School.
And then, of course, he played with Michael Jordan in Chicago. Good rebound from Reggie Smith, his 11th for the game. Newcastle down by only 1. Johnson tried to kick it out to McLean, but good hustle from Rosen, and Keough winds up with it. Had to pirouette to get the ball to Withers, who shoots the jump shot uncontested. Sydney keeps that 3-point lead.
Newcastle's got themselves a very tough opponent tonight. Sydney Kings don't want to end the year off on a bad note. They're playing with a lot of conviction.
Well, this is a grand final for Sydney. It may as well be. They don't get another chance in 95. And I know one thing about basketball players. They don't hang around and watch the playoffs. Nice stroke from Michael Johnson. Ties up the game with exactly 1 minute left on the clock in the third quarter.
And Newcastle is so aware of where Mike Johnson is when he spots up outside the three-point line. Penetration, they're looking for him.
Rosen goes for 3. He was left alone. McLean. Williams with the rebound. Something Brad Williams is quite capable of. He's got 3 for the game. In fact, he's 3rd on the rebounding list tonight behind Bolden and Trimmingham with a whopping 13. Trimmingham's been in everything. He's even picked up a couple of assists. 8 more of those and he'll have a triple-double. Hubbard with a very Hubbard-like shot. And Rosen Wiseman with the intercept. Spots up for three, but it was long. Now, 3 seconds left on the clock. Kruger goes for the full court shot, and he travels.
He sure did, too. He won't get any argument from anybody on the Newcastle side. He did walk Tom Wiseman, trying to get his team to get a little bit more composed there, and the Sydney Kings are actually quite unlucky to have 0.8 of a second left on the clock.
Will they go for the one pass and score? Yes. Oh, Withers couldn't convert. No basket. I think the Sydney fans were hoping for a moment there they'd get a goaltend out of Reggie Smith, but the ball was not going to make it. 77, however, leads. So that'll give the hometown fans something to smile about in what is going to be an amazing final quarter, we expect. We'll be back for that. In 1995, the Falcons, however, outscored them by 7 in that third quarter, and enjoying the game is the chairman of the NBL, Mal Speed, and the Minister of Sport, Federal, Mr. John Faulkner. And they've had plenty of excitement, I think, in this game, Steve Carfino, with Mike Johnson bouncing in to hit 4 of 6 three-pointers.
All right, Sydney.
Tough play continuing. Plenty said.
Well, the game has gotten a lot better. I think the referees did a fantastic job of not letting this game get out of hand, because I don't think you've had much complaint from either team in the second half. Officiated very well.
Butch Hayes, the master. Last week against Geelong, Butch had 18 points. There's Johnson off that screen. Another three for Mike Johnson. Oh, this is building into a match-winning performance. 17 points. 5 from the perimeter. This is Newcastle's first lead since about 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. And they had been down by as much as 12, remember. So, character displayed here. And likewise by Justin Withers, who gives Sydney back a 2-point lead and takes his personal tally to 8 for the game. But he certainly has corrected what has been a pretty tough year for him.
Brad Rosen forcing Butch Hayes into a tough shot.
Bowman hits the shot. So Sydney, unlike previous weeks, is responding as their opponent steps up. They've regained a 4-point lead. North Melbourne and Melbourne were able to blow them away in the last quarter and win by around 20. That may still happen, but Sydney's certainly looking a lot more committed as Smith goes for that very tough shot on Bruce Bolden. A big play, drew the foul as well. And that's been a pretty tough matchup for Bruce Bolden tonight.
Now that's a tough matchup for anybody. He is just a big force down there. He gets his body on you. He's wide, and a hook shot is impossible to block because you have to come over his whole body to get to it. He even strokes a free throw.
Reggie said on Sunday Basketball a few weeks back that he really hates being double teamed. The sort of game he likes is when he has to match up with a comparable center and it becomes a one-on-one battle as Hubbard goes for 2 points and hits to keep Sydney ahead by 3. Greg Hubbard with 12 for the game. So Bob Turner getting some shared scoring here. 4 of his players in double figures, and Withers has 8.
And the Kings really bailed themselves out there with a lucky one. And Butch Hayes punishes them on the other end of the floor. On the last exchange, they had full court pressure. The Falcons did, and the Kings were unaware. Had the ball bounce their way and get a bucket.
Butch Hayes, up to the end of July, had connected on 34 of his 73-point shots. That was a league-leading 49%, but since then he's slipped a little bit. He's hit just 7 of 29. He's getting his points inside now. 20 for the game. Make it 21. And he's taken only 1 3-point attempt, but he hit that. Full court pressure here from the Falcons. Withers shoots for 2, and he's in touch. Justin Withers. So now 5 Kings in double figure scoring. Newcastle has 4. And of course the incomparable Mike Johnson has 17 now, just They've run some good plays for Mike Johnson. Here it is again off that screen, but he didn't get the chance to shoot that time. He sets one, though, for Butch Hayes. It's stolen. Hubbard, stolen back, and Hayes for Smith. Jam!
17 points for the game.
86 all. Damien Keogh on the court. Brad Rosen gets a rest. And credit to Bob Turner for giving Brad Rosen the minutes he's gained. There's that last play. I don't think there's many easier dunks, but that wasn't too easy. Justin Withers is really hitting some... I bet Justin's thinking, I wish this was the first game of the season and not the last. But nevertheless, he'll be back for more next year. And under a coach that he has experience with.
Butch Hayes was originally probably just trying to not allow Leon Trimmingham to get an easy jam, but the pass was a little bit behind him, and he got a legitimate shot at the basketball. That was a good defensive play. They've got to grind it out in their half-court offense to try and pick up two.
Trimmingham spins and almost collected the rebound, but two Newcastle Falcons down at the backcourt, so they're a little outnumbered on this offense, so Tony Jensen holds it up. Kruger. Oh, tough play. Didn't get the roll. Smith is fouled. Reggie Smith's done pretty well, Steve. There's been some banging in there, and he's stayed on 4 fouls for a long time.
He has, and he's picked up his 13th rebound. He's tied with Leon Trimmingham for a game high in that department. But Leon makes a good play right there because Reggie Smith didn't come down with the basketball on that rebound. That was going to be 2 points. He fouled him on the elbow. And Reggie Smith, although he made his last free throw, struggles a bit from the line. As you can see, that was all net, but not in the right way.
So, makes up for it on that play. Plenty of time left in the game, 8 minutes in fact. Hubbard for 3. And herring after that rebound was McLean, and Roger Shields says, no, you did not keep it in. Clutch call, but Shields was right there.
Right on the line.
Bolden with a turnaround jump shot. Sydney has not hit for a few seconds. 89-87. They still lead inside 8 minutes. Newcastle ball.
Well, that's definitely a good shot by Bruce Bolden. He's practically got his jersey number marked on that spot. He's been canning that shot all night from there.
Bob Turner calls a timeout. His lead is tenuous. We'll be back for more. It's one.
I think the crowd really liked Brad Rosen because he wasn't very tall and he was having a go, but he just deserves the minutes that he's getting now because every time he comes out here, he creates something, whether it's on the offensive end of the floor or the defensive end of the floor. He's really putting the pressure on Butch Hayes defensively, and offensively, he's taking it to the hole, making it happen.
And this has been a good finish to the season for Sydney. That's the 10th tied score in this game. It's been a good one. Hayes, well, he didn't really, it's almost like Butch had a half thought about that shot. Well, now that's a big call. Reggie Smith for the foul. He's on 5. So is Butch Hayes, and that's crept up on me. Hayes called for that foul on the previous play at the other end. So now we've got their 3 key players. Jensen on 4, Hayes and Smith on 5. So foul trouble here with a good 6 minutes left in the game. Interesting scenario building at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. Dalton thought about the shot. Trimmingham trying to post up, but he just couldn't get the handle. 93 all still, and Newcastle looking to take the lead in this play.
Bad luck for the Kings. That was good ball reversal and a nice entry pass to Leon. He just couldn't make it happen.
McLean for 3, and that's the lead for Newcastle. 5.5 left in the game. Some character being shown by the Steel City. What can Sydney do in response? Trimmingham, no. Smith, another rebound. 15 now for the game. He and Trimmingham adding a war on the boards. Trimmingham with 13, and he fouls Butch Hayes.
Well, Butch is very good at that too. When he knows his team is in the bonus, he'll dribble and make the contact, and he looks very awkward when he goes in there, like he's really being hammered, and he gets to the line a lot. That's what a veteran player seems to do, and he'll go there to shoot too.
Well, having made a big deal out of the foul count against Newcastle, Trimmingham is now on 5 fouls as well, and that is a big blow. And Trimmingham has not scored for over 11 minutes.
Well, you won't see that too often. Butch Hayes missing in the last few minutes of the basketball game from the line, especially twice.
Rosen. Keogh, the only noted perimeter shooter out there for Sydney. Trimmingham, tough ball. He looked as though he was going to be pushed off that shot, but he managed to hang. Take his total for the game to 24, just one behind Jensen. And the Sydney crowd getting behind its team. Smith on Trimmingham, nice play, but no. Oh, they're scrambling for the ball. Smith cleans up, nice heads-up play, found Hayes lurking at the perimeter. McLean for 2. Bolden gets the board. The referee says Newcastle get the foul.
The personal, assistant number 40, Bruce Bolden, pushing in the back.
Actually,
Bolden goes to 4, sorry.
John Payne and Roger Shields were on that call. Bruce in the back of Grant Kruger. He had some pretty good position on that one.
Newcastle leads by 1. Can Kruger take them out? He had a brilliant 13-point third quarter last week to steer his side to victory.
And this has been a factor in the basketball game. Newcastle struggling from the line. Only 12 of 25 from the line tonight.
So they can't build on that lead yet. Trimmingham. Kruger trying to trap him in that corner. Dalton gets a bit closer. Nice play, Mark Dalton. And once again, Steve, as you pointed out, when he penetrates. Oh, turnover here, Trimmingham. Oh, he had to go all the way, charge. There were just too many Newcastle bodies in the way. I think that intercept took even the Kings players by surprise, Steve. Leon had not a lot of help, and he's out of the game.
Damian Keogh came up with a great steal, kicked it to Leon, and I really thought Leon should have kicked it back to Damian. He was spotting up behind the three-point line, had a really good look at it.
Well, this will be a real test of courage for the Kings. Their main scoring weapon out of the game. Bruce Bolden on 20 points, only 4 behind Leon Trimmingham, is ready to step up, but that could be the last you see of Leon Trimmingham in 1995. I beg your pardon, in the NBL. Of course it's the last you'll see of him in 1995, unless he can somehow change the NBL rules and switch clubs for the playoffs. But here's Tony Jensen now.
That'd be a good pickup, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. Jensen off the screen. Oh, it was close. This game is still in the balance. Keogh with a lovely long pass. Dalton decides to hold it up. Bolden hits the shot. Bruce Bolden. He's had a frustrating year. He certainly contributed as much as he could to the Sydney effort, but Bruce Bolden has always made the playoffs. This year he will not, so he's not happy. Can he close it out and at least give Sydney a win? They're on a 6-0 run right now. We'll be back.
Time to rock the house with the Lions.
Season, they lead by 3. But Leon Trimmingham has fouled out.
Come on, defense.
Here come the Falcons. Jensen, Rosen giving him a lot of trouble. And Smith now versus Bolden. Great contest it's been all night.
And Grant Kruger gets picked up for the same thing that Bruce Bolden did to him a couple of plays ago. And the Sydney Kings have played a very good basketball game.
29 turnovers for Newcastle to 13. You've got to give them credit that they've kept in the game with that sort of stat, Steve.
There you see it, the turnover ratio 29 to 13. And Tom Wiseman gets up and he wants a timeout.
Oh, Bolden, here it comes. This has been a great effort from Bruce Bolden.
And see what the Newcastle Falcons can come up with after a timeout. See if they can execute a play, get themselves a high percentage shot.
A blocking foul, number 12, Mark Dalton.
Dalton fouls Butch Hayes. He goes to 4 fouls. 2 minutes to go. Hayes on the line. Gets this one. Breaks a little drought for the Falcons, who are shooting only 58%.
We're going to run a few screen and roll plays for Butch Hayes. And Billy, you talked about his ability to improvise out there. And if you foul Butch Hayes, he's going to go to the line, and he's good under pressure.
Full court pressure now on Damian Keogh. Sydney's lead is 3. What a finish we're in for.
Kings can't afford to get tentative.
Well, they got nothing to lose. Dalton, he was set for 3, but he just didn't want to take it. Withers turns around, has to hit that shot, but well, Grant Kruger comes to the rescue. Sydney had a lot of trouble executing there, but the foul count mounts again, and that's his 5th.
Bolden to the free throw line, 2 shots.
Bruce Bolden fouled. Now, the coaching staff had a bit of a chat with the 2 guards, Rosen and Keogh there. Bolden. Well, hasn't this been a great finish to the season for Bruce Bolden, Steve? He stepped up.
He really has. I mean, it has to be so frustrating, especially coming from a program that's been very successful with the Magic and high expectations, and just couldn't get it done as a team this year.
4-point lead. Jensen for 3. Oh, and it's just short. Smith got in there, but Sydney now playing for time. Keogh. Dalton using those mid-court screens. Keogh shielding the ball from Butch Hayes and winding down the shot clock. Oh, good hustle from Freddie Kruger. Hayes takes it and lays it in. Well, I really thought Withers had the handle on that, but Freddie Kruger persisted. It's now a 2-point ball game. What a finish. Just over a minute left. Who wants to win this more? Full court pressure on the Kings guards. Hayes on Rosen. Mark Dalton helping out, and Mike Johnson gets out to Dalton, who's got the ball now. Fakes the pass and takes it up court himself. Rosen's clean, but he gives it to Keogh. Now, inside a minute in this game, if Sydney can convert here and also chew up some time, they'll be in a pretty solid position. Withers! Oh, he shoots it low. Good rebound from Smith. Now Jensen can tie up the game, and there'll still be plenty of time. Keogh on Jensen. Hayes now slowing it up. 16 seconds, 15. The shot clock winding down. Newcastle can tie it up here, maybe hit the lead with a 3. Sydney will still have possession. Rosen harassing. Butch Hayes fouls him. and fouls him.
Number 5, Brad Rosen.
Well, our stats man Darren Eisenberg, who deserves a credit because it is our last game of the season in Sydney, has just informed me that Adelaide is in fact better in head-to-head because they won by 9 when they won, and Newcastle only won by 7 when they won, so that's close. So Newcastle will not replace Adelaide in the top 4, but there was some chance they could replace Brisbane, depending on Brisbane's result. But
Butch Hayes stepped to the line, down by 2 with 20 seconds left, and very calmly stroked down 2 pressure free throws.
Withers, oh, tough D. Oh, he can't hit it. These Falcons looking to end their season with a victory and sail into the playoffs against, well, who knows, Freddie Kruger, one of several players on serious foul territory. He has 5.
All right, Sydney.
Hayes and Smith have 5. Now, in this last 5 minutes, that could be a factor. Bruce Bolden, Sydney's only real strike force in the paint, is on 4 fouls. He's done a mighty job. He's got 25 points now. Newcastle have won all 3 games this year that were decided by 2 or less points, and they beat the Magic in double OT in August. Sydney lost its only overtime game of the year against Perth. And it's a nice play from Tony Jensen.
27 points for the ball game.
He has 27. A player who is one of several connections between these 2 clubs, Tony. In fact, it's kind of fitting that Bob Turner's last NBL game is against the team he first played with. He was captain coach of the Falcons in 79, player in 80, and then a coach only in 81. And he oversaw the debut of Michael Johnson in that 1981 season. Michael, of course, still around, and I guess it's ironic he's punished the Kings tonight for 17 points, 4 threes. Well, Sydney have turned it over. So Newcastle, the more composed of the 2 teams in this overtime period. Butch Hayes. Greg Hubbard has come on court for Brad Rosen. Off the screen, Butch Hayes. Kruger and Smith set an imposing screen, Steve. There's Kruger now, going on Dalton, yes!
Doesn't count.
No, says Roger Shields, he walked. Sydney lives again.
Sydney really need a basket here, mostly more for their confidence than anything else. They sure don't want to get back. They feel like they probably should have won the game in regulation. And this would be a real big mental boost if they can get a bucket here.
Oh, Bolden stripped, but he's fouled in the process, and that's Kruger out of the game if the call's against him.
Personal foul, number 11.
Yes, it is. So Grant Kruger is gone.
That's his 6th personal foul.
Reminding you that Leon Trimmingham was fouled out and Dean Uthoff was kicked out of the game in the first quarter. So we've seen some big men bite the dust in this one.
And that's how it happened. Grant Kruger crossed the arm of Bruce Bolden. I don't think he really had much choice. I think that's a good foul. Make Bruce earn that. He's not going to miss that shot down that low in the paint. And plus, they put on Marty McLean.
2 shots.
And although Grant Kruger is a very good player, Marty McLean gives him a different look.
Grant Kruger's fouled out in 5 games this year. In fact, an improvement on 1994, where he first fouled out in 7. But having said that, his contribution to the team in his time on court has been excellent.
Come on, Sydney,
And he's one of the great characters. Here's another one. Mike Johnson, yes, 3 points. 107 to 104. Johnson does it again. 20 points for the game, and we go back to what we said earlier about Newcastle's strike rate when Johnson scores 20 or more. They are 5-1. Withers! But that was for 2. So Sydney stays in touch. Still, more than 3 minutes left in this game. And some heroes emerging. Justin Withers having a healthy 15 for this game. Way up on his stats during the year where he's averaged 6. Jensen fakes the 3, spins, and can't get the bank. And Dalton gets up nicely for the rebound. He's done a pretty good job, Steve, jumping in the game with Utah out and now Trimmingham.
He sure has. The Sydney Kings have responded every single time the Newcastle Falcons have challenged and even taken a lead.
Keogh was looking for 3 then. Bolden inside, tries the reversal, but Smith was ready this time. Instead, Bolden hits the jump shot short. Newcastle leading by 1. And this is a nice finish for them for the season. Butch Hayes! Oh, boy! That is a play made of steel.
Wow.
110 to 106. And that could be a game-breaking ball. Keogh tries to do the same, but no. Smith. Now there's been a foul called in back play. Foul called against Justin Withers, pushing in the back. And that's not a great finish to the career of Bob Turner, but...
Billy, I'm still shaking my head at that shot that Butch Hayes hit. He just calmly went down with a 1-point lead and strokes the 3.
Marty McLean strokes the free throw. He's 69% from there, and there's Butch. What a player. One of the nicest guys in the league. Deserves everything he gets, and that's Newcastle's biggest lead of the game, believe it or not, and it's come at the right time with 2 minutes left of overtime. 6 points. I don't think Sydney can make it from here. Dalton for 3. Gives them a chance. He gives them some hope. Newcastle with possession. Well, what a time for Mark Dalton to hit the 3-pointer. It's his only attempt of the game. I wonder if Mark should think about shooting a little more. Maybe Alan Black will give him that chance next year. If he sticks around, who knows what will happen. Jensen puts the steps on Hubbard. Tough play. Bolden was up there to frustrate him. Keogh. Nice pass. Withers composed. Can't get the post. Play happening, and Hubbard is knocked heavily out of court. Cannons into the Newcastle bench. Desperately wants a call from Roger Shields. Doesn't get it, but he better get back on D because Butch Hayes has the ball. Just over a minute left. They lead by 3, the Falcons. Well, Justin Withers, he's had a solid game with 15 points, but he's going to rue that miss. It would have given his team an enormous lift. They double team Hayes, but that opens up things elsewhere. And here's Johnson, fakes the 3. Withers got out quickly, and that in itself was a good play. Jensen tries to dish. Now came off the Sydney player, but no. Roger Shields says it was touched by a Falcon.
Actually, the 30-second shot clock went off.
Ah, okay. Good call. And in the frenzy, none of us noticed that except Mr. Magic, who was good for 19 points for Sydney Sky against the visiting Korean club earlier this evening. Had to get that one in. So the old man still got it, and the back didn't even play up on him. Here's Keogh! Oh, that was a big play! Wow, that's a big call. Dalton, after that rebound, and the ref says it's Sydney's ball. Well, Keogh's ready, no one else was. Hubbard, tough shot, he can't hit it. Oh, Butch Hayes gets the rebound, he's fouled. Butch Hayes, he had no right to get in and take the rebound, but he did. And that's just the sort of match-winning play the man is capable of. Meanwhile, Reggie Smith still insists Newcastle should have got the call in the first place. Newcastle will go to the free throw line, and from there they should win it. 25 seconds left. All they need to do is make one of these, and Sydney can't even get this game level in their last possession. They've tried hard, the Kings, but they cannot send Bob Turner away with a win. Newcastle instead will gain a lot of character and momentum for what will be a very rough ride in the playoffs for everyone involved. Well, there he is.
The Kings have got to get a quick shot up, preferably a quick 3.
And then make some fouls in a hurry.
Make some fouls and not Butch Hayes.
Well, that's a lot to ask. They can't even get a shot.
The personal foul, number 5, Michael Johnson.
Mike Johnson made the foul.
That's his first push-in.
Mike's first foul for the game. Now that's an interesting scenario here. Mark Dalton has to shoot 3. That was outside the perimeter. Now he's 54% from the line this year. So it was a good foul from Mike Johnson, even though he has the 3 shots. Sydney trail by 4. So not even this will help them. Remember, Newcastle will get possession unless Mark misses the last free throw. I wonder, should that be a tactic, Steve? Should he go for the miss and try and get the rebound?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, because they need another basket.
He does. He's gone for the miss, but they don't get the rebound. He fouls him. Well, he did do that. So
that's a good effort. What I thought Mark Dalton came in too early because the shooter is not able to break the plane of the line until the ball actually hits the rim. And boy, wouldn't you have heard the house come down if they called that one.
Well, the Kings fans, some of whom are already leaving, are at least going away with their money's worth. And they may have wanted to see their team win this game, but
Butch Hayes making the point that Mark Dalton actually moved in the free throw motion of Marty McLean.
Well, if he misses this, it'll be interesting. He does! Oh, look at Dalton leap for that rebound. He would have leaped over Michael Jordan the way he went in for that ball. Keogh, they need 3 points, the Kings. Hubbard! Oh, he missed it! Oh, here's Dalton! Oh, he can't get it either! And that's it! It's all over! Wow! A brave finish for the Sydney Kings. A brave finish to the careers of Bob Turner, Dean Uthoff, and probably Damien Keogh. However, Newcastle has won the game with a lot of courage and character, and certainly the stuff that playoffs are made of. Newcastle will be there. More tests to come. Steve Carfino.
Well, thanks, Billy. Well, it was a typical Sydney-Newcastle game tonight. Hard fought, very physical. Were you surprised at how physical the game was, Butch?
No, we were pretty prepared for it. We knew that there was a lot riding on this game for Sydney as far as pride, as far as a few people's last games, and we had to be ready for it, and we were.
You feel your team's ready, or already have stepped up, getting ready for the preparation of the playoffs?
Yeah, this would be a good game for us because we knew it would be playoff intensity, because Sydney, they haven't had the best of season, but they do have a lot of pride when it comes down to trying to do well for Bob, and we knew it was going to be that kind of tempo, and we were ready.
Well, how about yourself? A season high. Is this the first time you've been over 30 points this year?
Yeah, with the talent that we have on our team, I've been really trying to just distribute the ball and run the tempo. It just happened that way. I'm glad it did. I'm just glad that we got the win.
Well, how about on those free throws to tie it up going into regulation? Were you nervous?
Oh, yeah. But, you know, that's just part of the game. You know, you've got to do it. It's something that you practice every day, and hopefully when you get in that situation, you make it. You know, I've missed them before, but I made them that time.
We played on some very good teams. Is this Newcastle lineup championship caliber?
Oh, definitely. That's been our focus for the last 3 weeks. It's tough making the playoffs so early because you sometimes lose the focus on the regular season games. But we're definitely a playoff team, and we're looking to do great things for Newcastle this year.
Well, great game tonight, and good luck in the playoffs, Butch.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Steve.
All right, Billy, back to you.
Well, 83% free throw shooting for the Kings was effective, but I guess it came down to those last 2 in regulation that Butch sank in spite of that poor free throw shooting percentage for the team. 3-point shots didn't have a lot to do with it, although Mike Johnson's amazing contribution, 6 of 11, did keep his team in the game when they were trailing, and they did that for much of the game. Field shooting finished up pretty close, really. Rebounding was a key. The Falcons got a lot of second chances. Reggie Smith, in fact, pulled down a heap of boards, 18 to lead all rebounders. Turnovers was a worry for Tom Wisman, but it was that sort of game. I'm not sure he'll have that much trouble in the playoffs. playoffs. Top scorers, well, Bruce Bolden, when Trimmingham fouled out, really stepped up and tried his heart out. Great performances too from Justin Withers, Mark Dalton, who did the best he could in overtime in particular. Greg Hubbard 12, Butch Hayes, well, Stephen, he discussed the game. It was amazing performance from him. He came up with the big plays when they needed them. Tony Jensen had some great bursts as well, as did Mike Johnson with all those perimeter shots, and Reggie Smith and Marty McLean were very special. That is a very good team, Newcastle. You can tell by the balanced scoring they achieved. They are going to be very hard to beat in the playoffs. Looking forward to seeing them there, and you, after this break on Sunday Basketball.